Hey everyone, it's Jeanette Johnson, the Booked Agent.
And it is Ashley Kaya Lindsay, a realtor who reads.
And welcome back to the book club. So we're continuing our Throne of Glass journey, and we are on to the next book. We are talking about Crown of Midnight, which, might I add, is my favorite book in the entire series. And that's a loaded statement, but I freaking loved that book. Oh, I loved that book. That's a 5 stars for me. Tearjerker, suspense. It had all of the things that I was looking for. Had some romance in there, and you started revealing so many layers to this story. Like when you read Throne of Glass, you're like, stuff's kicking off. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what's happening. But in this book, you're like, oh no, this is like something is not right, and we got to figure out what it is.
Yep, I'd say definitely way more magic than in the other 2 books. If you read Assassin's Blade first, there's really nothing in there.
No magic.
And then, and then, and then Throne of Glass, there really isn't a lot in there either compared to this, in which you're finally getting into the fantasy aspect and a little less of the it's got some action, but
yeah,
definitely
well,
more
the ending has all the action really. But our spoiler-free synopsis, basically it starts off with Celaena Sardothien, who we know is an elite assassin, according to Sarah J. Maas. And
if you watch our other videos, you'll know that she's a hater when it comes to her assassin abilities. But it's all right.
Listen, if you can't fight, you can't fight. It's just
she would be trying to fight someone. I don't hear that. Lillian or whatever her name is.
Celaena. Whatever else you're called.
Right.
She is the winner of the competition that was held by the King of Ardalan to find his champion, his right-hand man, to basically do all of his assignments. So under that agreement, she is going to be his assassin, and she is living freely in the kingdom with them, and we are introduced to... Well, actually, we're not introduced to Nehemia in this. We are introduced to Nehemia in Throne of Glass.
Yep.
But Nehemia, who was a princess...
And a prospect of Dorian's originally.
Yes. Decided to kind of camp out in Ardalan. Nobody really knows why, except for her. And she starts to befriend Celaena, whom she thinks is Lillian. And they kind of develop an intimate relationship, and things proceed with Dorian as a friendship. She kind of solidifies that as a friendship, and she's getting a little bit frisky with Chaol. And
wait, and let me back it up too, because she said intimate, and then she went into the other guys. So no, it's not intimate with her. It's a friendship.
That's intimate.
Nehemia. Yeah, but it depends.
I didn't mean it in that way. I meant it more of like they're opening up to each other. She starts being more honest with her.
Oh no,
she's
I
like,
get it.
This is my friend. You know?
Oh yeah,
for
sure.
She becomes really close with her.
For sure.
And all the while, they're pretty much trying to figure out what the heck happened at the end of Throne of Glass, and why was she able to see these creatures come out, and why is magic kind of breaching, because magic doesn't exist in this world, so why is magic starting to kind of reveal itself? What's happening? There's a shakeup, and
there's more development with the word marks. What can they do? What are the capabilities of them? Why are they developing?
Why are they there? Why is it her that they want? Essentially, why is she chosen for certain things? So that's what's kind of gets broken down in this story. And now we're here for the spoilers, honey. So if you don't want them, then please swipe.
Pause, give yourself a second.
Yes.
So here come the spoilers.
But if you do want to know a little bit more, I mean, I would say our spoilers are pretty mid.
Yeah.
We don't get like crazy
too deep
spoilers
into it.
Yeah. We do tell you how it ends. So
yeah, that's the big spoiler. But we'll leave stuff out too. Like I don't even think in our last one we even really spoke about Nehemia at all.
I know, right?
It's she's like her friend.
Do we spoil?
But,
yeah, we spoil.
Not bad spoils. Okay.
So you're going to get into the spoilers now. So if you don't want to see that, if you do, stick around. If you've already read this, then you already know what's up. And here's where I'm going to talk about why Crown of Midnight is one of my absolute favorite books. One, this is where I fell in love with Chaol. And
once again, not Celaena.
I've talked about him before, and I'm going to tell you right now, Chaol, I absolutely freaking fell in love with him. I don't know if it was just the sweetness of him,
his consistency,
his courtesy. He just really developed so much respect for Celaena, and I loved that because her walls started to come down, and her character for me we don't even need to go there. But I had mixed feelings about her for a while, and I just feel like he brought a softer side to her. He just kind of broke her down a bit in the best ways, and I loved that. And I loved that relationship development in there. And that's one of my favorite parts. And then also her, you know, stronghold and development with Nehemia and the devastation of her death. And her dying in general. I was like, oh no, Sarah is kicking it off for us. Like, she said, listen, you thought you were bored the last 2 books? Not in this one, no. We're kicking it off.
But then I'm like, but then it feels so bad too, because it's like, ultimately that death is really what kind of put a huge strain on her relationship with your boy
Sarah.
Because really, without that death,
the way you did my boy Kay out so freaking dirty.
And it's like, and really it still stemmed from him being such like a loyal person.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. What he did was an honest mistake. Number one. Not telling her that Nehemia was at risk. Because, let's be honest, his loyalty is still with the king. I understand that he is in love with Celaena, and, you know, they're, you know, diving into a much deeper relationship than she's ever had with anybody else. But at the same time, he was like, listen, this is just one little thing that I'm going to keep as sticking around and being loyal to the king, which I wasn't mad at that as a reader. I was like, I think that makes sense, right?
Well, and we can see more things than he can see. So it's like, I feel like it's based on his, like, as a reader, I still was like, you're messing up. But he doesn't know that. And, I mean, it's hard to shake something that's like, because I assume that he's the same age as her and Dorian. So that means he can't be more than 17, 18 years old.
He's like 21, K.L. K.L. was like 21 or 22 or something like that. So he was older than the rest of them, but even still, it was just one of those loyalty things. Like, that was...
He's been there forever.
Yeah, so I just don't know if he would, like... And he, even when he has his internal dialogue and he's, like, thinking about, should I tell her, should I not tell her? He's like, it's kind of not that big of a deal. Like, we'll keep it pushing. Now, of course, it ends up becoming a huge deal, and she is found murdered in her bed, which is absolutely horrific, because first off, I really liked Nehemia as a character.
Yeah, me too.
And I was almost plotting on her and Dorian's relationship, because she started helping Dorian. Like, she was hinting at Dorian in this book, and she was like, you're better than you think you are, you know, because Dorian always felt like he was kind of just like a useless guy, and he just thought he was like a lady schmoozer, like he's next in line. He doesn't really care to be king, like.
And he didn't even really start his development and trying to even be a better person until really he met Celaena, aka Lillian, in the first go round. Because really he was just kind of like.
Yeah, so she's like kind of pushing him towards a little bit of self-discovery, especially he came to terms with the fact that he wasn't getting with Celaena, whom he was like obsessed with, and K.L. and her kind of proceeded with a relationship. So
of course he's like, a little butthurt because, you know, he's not used to that.
Yeah, so he was just everybody being like hanging out by himself, you know.
Dorian.
Right, the girls at the court go crazy for Dorian.
Come on, Dorian.
Dark and mysterious Dorian. So I was like, maybe they'll kind of kick off a little relationship. So when she died, I was like, no. How?
Yeah, Nehemia is like one of my favorite because I felt like she's definitely more of a you know, I don't know.
She was like a sounding board, a voice of reason, and then she was kind of mysterious because you didn't know her intentions. As a reader, you were like, okay, what is up with her? Like, is she going to be a good friend to Celaena, or is she trying to do something sneaky? Like, you didn't really know what her place was, and she was trying to help her, like, understand the word marks, and then she was trying to help Celaena know there's something going on in the kingdom, and you need to be aware of it. And you're the person that's supposed to do this. But Celaena kept looking at her like, stop telling me that. Like, I don't want to do any of this. I don't want this responsibility.
But Nehemia reads as a person of the people. She reads to me as like a minority type vibe, where it's like, these are the people of Adeline. That's how they get down. But over where I'm from, we take care of our people and we're having struggles, but...
And she's like, listen, the only way to get you to do what you need to do is to plan my own death, then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, she
did it.
Knew. She was knowledgeable. And even then, we're already in the spoiler part of this, right?
Yeah, we're spoiling it.
So then, like, because then even later on, when Celaena ends up trying to, this is what?
Yeah, when she tries, when she opens the word marks and she brings Nehemia back to speak to her, Nehemia is looking at her like, girl, stop doing this. One, this is extremely dangerous, and you should never play with the dead. Two, I did this for you. And not even just for you. I did it for the whole world,
The greater
because
good.
there's something evil out here and you need to be the one. You have to be the one to stop it. And she just can't come to terms with that. So this is kind of like, I would say, Selena's Crash Out. Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is Selena's Crash Out book.
Attacks our boy. She attacks our boy.
Oh no, she attacked my man. She came for his face and scratched it, and she was gonna kill him. And then Dorian was like, "Nope, powers, we're not doing that." And he discovered he's like got this secret ability, and I was like, "Ooh, this is getting good." Like, I don't know, it was just layer after layer after layer.
Yeah, because he's really developed. He's really figuring out more about his powers and stuff like that in this book too. There ends up being a big party for him, and then
Yeah.
it ends up being discovered by her that he does have powers.
And that's where we're
Selena.
introduced to the witches, which ends up being a extremely important layer to the story later on in the books.
Mm-hmm.
So you start getting a lot of really hot moments in this book, and it's so small compared to her other books.
You can eat through
and
it.
I think that's why I also loved it, because it's small but it's heavy. Like, it's jam-packed with everything you need it to be from the beginning to the end. And at the end, when her and Kale kind of have their like their moment where he's like, "Listen, I know you didn't mean to kill me," which, listen, when she was gonna kill him, and reading it, and you have her inner dialogue, and she's like, "I don't care," like she couldn't stop herself. I knew in that moment they were done.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about it, usually when you think about love interest, and everybody has some sort of betrayal story, right? You think, okay, well, this is redeemable. Like, I can see where they can make up from this. I didn't see any coming back from that.
See, and I felt like it wasn't about him not being able to come back from it. I felt like, you know, when you read a whole bunch of books, I just read it to look at it as an excuse for the author to be able to distance them. You know?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause sometimes I don't feel like things that happen are, like, true to their characters.
Yeah.
And it's like, not saying that wasn't true, like her attacking, but I felt like with the development that she'd already had, for her to get to the point, no matter how angry she is, for a person who essentially, now with Nehemia gone, the only other person who really has her back, for her to attack him and be so after, you know.
That's why I was like,
felt
how can you do, like,
it felt really hard.
I understand you were upset and betrayed, but to do that to him and he's done absolutely nothing but support you, I was like, that's where I drew the line, and I felt really bad for him. And even at the end, when they kind of, you know, he sends her away for her best interest because he still loves her. And at the end, when they have their moment and she's like, it's always you. I cried. I was like, this is so emotional and so sweet. And I think that I'm praying they'll get back together. Like, I'm just like, I don't know what has to happen for them to make this work, but Sarah, please write them a happily ever after. I was just hoping for it. So
yeah, because what is it? Because her other original love interest was Sam.
So Sam was the Assassin's Blade love interest.
So and I feel like she didn't really care about anybody as much as she cared about Sam up until Kale,
and you know, she gave Kale everything. So
not everything. Close to everything.
Right. But yeah, it gets on and popping in this book, and if somebody were to say, like, if you had cold feet reading this book and somebody was like, I don't know if I want to continue, I'd be like, read Crown of Midnight and then tell me. Then tell me what you think, because I burned through Crown of Midnight and Heir of Fire once I finished this. I was like,
Heir of Fire is it's thicker.
It's thicker. Queen of Shadows, it starts
real
getting heavy, and I burned through that too. So
well, because now once all the foundation has been set, because of, you know, in some of the books you gotta figure out where you are, you gotta figure out the relationships and characters, you gotta figure out, and it's like once you've already got all that foundation going, the new characters are only a little bit at a time. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, see, I like that this book, so Assassin's Blade's heavily, obviously, Selena. Throne of Glass is heavily Selena. And then this is heavily Selena. And then once you get to Heir of Fire, which we'll talk about that in our next video, you get a divide in scenarios. So she's in a different part of the world than they are. So you're seeing completely different activities go on, and then proceeding from that book forward, that's kind of the rhythm of the rest of the books. So it gets really dense and heavy, but the context is just beautiful.
I agree. I like it.
Yeah.
Wait, I know you're like, okay, so what do you give this one?
This is 700 stars. No. I gave this 5. This was a 5.
Her elusive 5.
Yeah.
Okay, when my previous and what is that, Throne of Glass, I gave that one a 7, and I would give this one an 8. I give it an 8.
Okay. Drum roll.
Sorry.
We'll accept your 8.
8 is solid though. Like, it's really hard to get past an 8 for
Yeah.
me. Because for me, especially because even though I do like a good story with without it being crazy big on like the love interest story,
Yeah.
I mean, I do like a good love. Like, to me, if it gives a
Gotta have
nice,
a little
perfect,
romance,
like I like a nice,
Even
perfect
if it's not
balance.
the main plot, yeah.
Exactly, because sometimes you like a lot of tea, and when there's a lot of
And when there's romance,
Romance,
there's
there's
a
all
way to
kinds of
kind of like
tea,
make it
betrayal.
messy. Yeah.
because to me, like, really to get a 9 out of me, I have to cry. That's like my rule.
I cannot, well, I did cry on
Well,
this, and I think
yeah.
that's why I gave it such a high ranking. Because
And
I was
like,
like, my heart is crushed.
like seeing them feeling my eyes watered up, and I was like,
You're a tough,
especially
tough
my
cookie.
girl, Nehemia.
No, I really liked Nehemia's
Yeah.
character. So
That was-
Sarah
that
did
was
us
the
so
closest
dirty in
one.
this book.
Yeah.
So if you were emotionally attached to Nehemia, stop. Stop where you're at. She just doesn't make it past this book.
Take her for what she is. Respect and love her.
But she does have, she is very important to Selena's life in her development. I think
and
she
even where
was
she's
the
from
she's
ends
the
up becoming
kickoff.
important later too.
Exactly.
Where she's from.
Exactly.
So try to remember and read up on, like, as they're talking about her people and where she's from. All of that stuff is important later on too.
Yeah, look at the map.
The map.
Map. But yeah, so thank y'all for watching. Stick around for next episode where we talk about Heir of Fire.
Woo! And
See ya.
also we got a video coming up that's gonna be about the pronunciation.
Oh yeah, we'll have a
Of-
pronunciation video.
Cause woo,
Because who knows how to say these names correctly,
Butcher.
right? And when you listen to the audiobook, you're like, they're wrong. They've got to be.
yeah, no,
It's not me. It's them.
Right. You don't want to be like me. My embarrassing moment, I always bring it up, is when I was reading Harry Potter, and I just, before the movies or anything like came out, and I was like, I just made her name Hermione.
shit.
I just made it Hermione, and then like as I'm running to Hermione, I was like, that
Like-
makes sense.
That's it. And then you're like, I gotta stop
I was
saying
like,
it
I don't
wrong
care.
now.
That's not her name.
Yeah. But
Okay.
that'll be one of our episodes as well. So thank y'all for watching and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.